How many hours of sleep do you get?
I only need 6.
Oh, I need a lot.
How-
Lots and lots.
What's a lot?
Well, I guess not a lot, but I need like a solid 8 to 9. a
Oh my
night.
God.
Yeah.
Or I'm cranky.
No, it's like scientifically proven that women need more sleep.
I just saw that TikTok this
same,
morning.
Same.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like proven that women need more sleep than men.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
so
it's something
true.
in our bodies.
I'm not gonna lie. I think it was like 2 weeks ago. I got home from work and I laid down in bed, and then I went to the couch and laid on the couch and I fell asleep by like 6:30.
Wow. What time did you wake up?
I mean, I kind of woke up a little bit here and there, and then I got into bed and I woke up at like 4:45.
You get
Oh,
up early.
Yeah, I wake up
Yeah.
at 4:45.
super
Yeah.
early. I just know I have to be to bed at 11:30 because
Oh,
my son's
Oh.
getting up at 5:30 no matter what.
I haven't seen the 11 o'clock hour on a work night in ages.
I don't think I've seen 9:30.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Under One Roof podcast. I'm Megan, and I'm here with Ashley and Pat.
Hello.
Hi.
All right, let's dive into it.
Let's do it.
Let's go.
All right. McDonald's is feeling the holiday spirit with their latest campaign, Season of Sharing, which includes giveaways and food discounts when using their app. So the grand prize of the sweepstakes style campaign includes free meals for life via the McDonald's McGold card. So between December 5th and December 25th, Christmas Day, fans making purchases through the McDonald's app will be entered to win, and one winner will be chosen for each of the 3 weekly entry periods. Each winner will get a McGold card for themselves and 3 friends. The McGold card will provide the winners with 2 free meals per week for 50 years. 50. The campaign represents another push to encourage consumers to use the McDonald's Reward app, which Q3 reports actually shows that there are 43 million active users currently using the app. The campaign rollout featured a number of social media posts and a TV commercial highlighting how the winners can become McDonald's rich. So we've talked about this before, and we've touched on rewards and loyalty programs, but what do you guys know to be the benefits of a sweepstakes style campaign like this, driving users to a rewards app?
Yeah, so this campaign might actually be more important than ever. According to a Lending Tree survey from this year, half of Americans actually think loyalty programs are more important than they've ever been in the past. And actually, 8 in 10 Americans are a member of at least one loyalty program. So it's very evident that there's demand there, and pushing the rewards program right now is super important for that.
Right.
It's great. Honestly, it's a great way to get your fan base involved, especially those halfers, those tweeners like myself. Especially like with something like a McDonald's app. Sometimes I go through line and I forget it. Sometimes I drive right past McDonald's because I'm like, I need to eat healthier. But sweepstakes like this will get someone who might go once every couple months. Now I might go 5 times this month just
Sure.
to make sure I'm entering the sweepstakes. I know they have other prizes too for daily people that are going.
Yeah, and they're familiar with this, so I feel like even a little bit of the Monopoly game that they used to play that like is iconic and everyone knows kind of goes along the same lines, that loyalty, you want to go, rewards you kind of thing. But in terms of McDonald's as a business, I mean, the consumer data alone is extremely valuable for a brand like McDonald's. And there's just this opportunity to kind of drive frequency for repeat customers. And it's obviously a platform for brands to create more intimate personal relationships with consumers through like an app program or rewards like this. And overall, a great idea. However, doing some research on rewards just in general, and rewards programs don't work for everyone. I found a study from the Harvard Business Review, and it kind of explained the rules of rewards for businesses. And that's 3 things. All customers are not created equal. And by that, I mean customers who generate profits for the company should be the ones to enjoy the benefits and the value created. So treating everyone equally will oversatisfy less profitable customers and undersatisfy more valuable, loyal customers. So that's 1. 2, the value created must exceed the cost of value delivered. Plain and simple, you cannot give away more than you're earning. So you have to have this, like, walk this fine line, and the customer behavior should drive that value sharing. No business can make money on customers who are constantly switching. So creating that loyalty is really important. And then 3, offers must target that attractive customer and not like beautiful, but I mean like they give the example of MCI's referral program for families. They basically made their consumers the salespeople for their company. So the more they recruit, the more discounts on calls that the customers would earn and stuff like that. So creating, because they know their customers know similar people to them. They're a valuable customer. They know other valuable customers. And that's how they kind of created that program. So those are kind of the 3 important things that I took out of that research. And I think McDonald's is nailing it, but it's not always for everyone.
Yeah, I definitely agree with those things that you're saying. And it's actually evident too among our team. We were talking about McDonald's the other day with some different people that we work with. Specifically, our VP of sales, Casey, he was talking to Braden, our photographer and videographer. And Braden was like, "You went to McDonald's and you didn't use the app?" Like,
he was so mad.
Yeah. He's like, "You have to use the app." And it makes sense because, okay, when I was originally reading about this campaign, I got a little nervous because I thought it was just the big grand prize giveaway. So that's only affecting a few people.
Right.
But actually, when you read more into it, they're doing some really great things that they're giving away. So they're doing holiday themed merch. And then they have a lot of food specials. And they're even giving away, 50-cent double cheeseburgers, free 6-piece chicken nuggets, stuff like that really impacts people on a daily basis.
Right.
So it's really giving good loyalty to people and reason for them to keep coming back, which we can definitely see from our coworkers.
Right.
Yeah. I will say, this always reminded me when I was younger, and I used to go into stores, and I would see what % off they had on clothes. And it's always that thing where it's like 60% off, but you don't see that small up to 60% off. And that's kind of like what sweepstakes are. It's like, it's like this, you get all this, they treat us like you get free merch. If you come this week, you'll get, a McDonald's toy if you come this week. What they don't tell you is like, some of those deals are there year round. The only people that notice they're year round are the people that continuously use the McDonald's app, and it's just a normal day for them, and maybe they'll get a toy or something. And then some of the stuff like I think next week they're doing beanies and shirts. Well, they're not giving away beanies and shirts at the locations. They're just giving you access to the shop for you to go buy the beanies and shirts. So sweepstakes, one thing I will say is like, who would read the fine print in the sweepstakes, right? And it's like, McDonald's doesn't owe me anything, so how can I really complain? But sometimes they could be, a little over exaggerated, especially for the older users, not the newer. The newer users are just like, man, 50%, but sometimes the app has already offered that this year at some point.
Right. Yep. I think that's why it's important to drive like the rewards program, or this sweepstakes is driving people to the rewards. So they're like creating rewards users in the long term while kind of attracting them by using this like holiday, McDonald's, McGold card sweepstakes. So I like the long play. Maybe the short play isn't like super crazy and there's some loopholes and stuff, but I think in the long term, they're just creating more valuable customers, and I love it. One thing I will say, I was laughing when Braden was like, "You didn't use the app. You could have gotten a free blah, blah, blah." I was like, how much is a 6-piece chicken nugget? Like, why?
Right.
It's not like
free.
Yeah, I'm like, it's not like it's like a free $50 or something. It's like, how much is that? What?
Right.
But it is. Do you guys know how much like a 6-piece?
Yeah, I think
chicken
it's like
nugget is?
$2.36 on the dot. No, I'm kidding.
I'm like, well, it's not. It's probably not my $5 cup of coffee.
No, you made a really really good point about people becoming rewards members. Technology has grown so much that on our phones, I don't know the last time I deleted an app because my phone said I was out of storage.
Right.
iPhones are growing with storage wise. You got iCloud now, being able to hold some of your storage. So, there's a lot of people, a lot of first time app users. They aren't going to, December 26th, they aren't going to go and turn off, hey, let's delete this because the sweepstake is over. Some of them are like, hey, I never knew this. Or, this is my just in case app, which I have like 15 just in case apps. I've been to H&M like 5 times this year, and I have the H&M app. 5 times out of 365. It's not a lot.
Yeah.
But I have that app just in case. Oh,
Yeah.
I remember. Let me go see if I can get a percentage off.
Yeah.
So I think it's a really good job where, obviously, I feel like sweepstakes are never really for the loyal customers. It's like to grab those tweeners like me and the people that would never download the app. So.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Exactly.
And think about it, like, so how many people are actually downloading this app just to get a free chicken nugget? That's a couple bucks.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then they're going to just keep it, and it's going to be used over and over and over again. It's such a cheap way to get someone to join your loyalty program.
Right.
That's very true. Very
Right.
true.
It's that time of year again. Time for Spotify's famous yearly wrap. Spotify is the world's most popular audio streaming subscription service with a reported 456 million users.
Mm-hmm.
Each year, Spotify wraps up the year with their Wrapped experience. And this year, the platform has gotten more interactive in its use of data to sum up listeners' 2022 habits. This year's campaign includes outdoor billboards and murals with word searches, including an illustration in Brooklyn where people have to find hidden pictures of Puerto Rican rapper Bad Bunny, who is this year's most listened to artist. There's also word searches that invites New York to discover the city's top genres and trivia quizzes around some of the platform's top artists, including Harry Styles and Taylor Swift.
Yes, love Taylor Swift.
Love her.
Continue.
According to Spotify's VP Global Executive of Creative, this year's campaign is designed to be more interactive. He said, "We want people not to just get wrapped, but also play with it." This interactivity includes providing users with their listening personalities, featured merchandise from listeners' top artists, an expanded range of thank you videos from top artists. So encouraging people to share their rap data is key to the campaign. Spotify revealed that in 2021, more than 120 million listeners shared their Spotify Wrapped, which is compared to just 30 million in 2017. Wow. So Megan, you're a Spotify fan.
Yes.
And Pat, you're an Apple Music guy.
Yep.
Yes.
What do you both think of this campaign? What worked well? What would you have changed?
Yes. So obviously love Spotify. I would give my life to my Spotify. But I first want to touch on the actual campaign. And the campaign kind of brings up something interesting that we don't touch on too often in the podcast, or we haven't yet. And that's traditional out-of-home advertising like billboards. So did some research. Out-of-home advertising is 382% more effective at driving online activity than TV ads. So really catching people where they're at. And then studies show that 71% of people actually consciously look at billboards while driving. And I know in the case of Hulu ads or and whatnot, mainly focused in New York City, they're really well designed because they're reflective of their location and they leverage the environment that they're around. So in this case of Spotify, the word search that they show is kind of down near the subway where people would be waiting. Maybe they have time to actually look at the billboard and recognize the branding of Spotify and the yearly wrap and then kind of look at stuff. So it's just a very interesting way. And I love what Spotify did with it. They also, something interesting to me about Spotify, they have this flexible voice and tone. So I don't know, I looked at 2020's Wrapped and 2021's Wrapped compared to this year's, and they kind of adjust their copy each year to fit what's trending. So last year's Wrap was written using kind of like these trending 2021, even, for example, it said like, even your music gets a vibe check, which was like a trending thing.
Yes.
You always understood the assignment. That was like a trending thing on TikTok. This year, they had some really funny descriptions. So I ventured into the universe of genres and look at you, you little astronaut. Like they kind of use funny terms and they're really on top of it, using that like pop culture kind of thing. You had mentioned the like personalities that they ventured into this year. And I have some really funny insights into mine. But Pat, I want you to go first. And what has Apple done for you this year?
Listen. The things that I'm about to say are hypothetically what Apple should do. Because, doing research, I will admit that Spotify does rap better than Apple, right? That's probably the only thing they do better than Apple. One is your rap only lasts 1 month, okay? even though Apple's is a little bit harder to get to, their replay, Apple Replay, which is called, at least you get to see it 365 days a year. So if it starts to change or you're trying to figure out who you're listening to more, it'll get that for you. That's probably the only thing that it does better than Spotify. But I will say, you guys throwing this rap thing into Apple's face every year, you're going to awaken a sleeping giant. If Apple actually comes back and they care about this rap one day, oh, Spotify.
I don't know how they haven't yet.
Yeah.
They don't. I honestly think there has to be, I don't want to talk about numbers I haven't looked up, but they don't see a difference. Like, it's not like people, by the time rap comes out, it's not like I can, like, even though I would have loved to see, I saw the Spotify numbers and the personalities that were given. Let's say I wanted to switch. I'm not getting that. So I have to wait a whole nother year for that. So why would I switch at that point?
I think it's difficult to get people to switch. I think you're talking more like the newbies getting into like streaming music. Because if you were like, you'd have to convince me of a crazy amount to switch from Spotify, because I would lose all of what I've worked, all my playlists, all my liked songs. Like that, I would have to build from the ground up. Oh, it would take days.
Yeah, it's almost like trying to retain people. It's more of a retention tool.
Yeah.
It's like, oh man, I'm looking forward to that. I really appreciate the build up throughout the year too, of like, oh, I wonder what it's going to be. And then all of a sudden it hits in December. It's like, oh yeah, this is why I'm here.
Yes. And I think about it, like I listened to one specific song a lot and I was like, oh, this is going to be like definitely on my Wrapped. And then surprisingly it's like further down and, stuff like that. I don't know. I think about it all year.
Yeah.
I don't understand it. I do not understand why Apple hasn't put their foot down and just, we're going to compete, because I'm just thinking about how often. So you say, the rap starts mid-November and it goes to, late December here. Why would you let your competitor's logo just run the internet for that long? Especially like you said, there's people, there's 11, 12, 13-year-olds that are getting their phones now. They're getting their first iPhone here for Christmas.
Yep.
And that's the first thing they just saw. Their older sister, older brother just post a Spotify Wrapped.
Right.
And that's what's been on there. I mean, it's genius marketing that they do it right around the time. I don't know how many kids are getting their first cell phone, but it's happening. A wave is happening around Christmas time, and all you see is Spotify. So they think music. I don't know what Apple is doing, but one thing I will say is most of those kids are getting iPhones, and there's one app that's already downloaded on there. So that's the advantage that they have, and that's the one they'll keep.
Yeah. I get the cohesive. I definitely get that. I don't know. I love Spotify's like branding, mission. I love what they give. We've talked before about like the tailored playlists and stuff, but this year's rap just made me like realize again how great Spotify is. So going back to the personalities, my personalities. So I had a morning and a night, and my morning music was described as heartache, bittersweet, feel good. I have no idea what that means. My nights were more rebellious, poetic, upbeat.
Poetic and upbeat.
Poetic, upbeat. So they I mean, the data that they have, it's kind of creepy, but I love it. Like the data that they have is just so kind of amazing that they can group all these very unique, and I'm like, honestly, that makes sense. Like I get to work and I listen to the more like chill kind of background music so I can be working. Whereas night, I'm working out or whatever, rebellious. I don't know. Like it cracks me up. But I just love, like I said, the data. So to wrap it all up, I listened to a total of 52,000 minutes of music. Yeah. But I spent 2,014 minutes listening to one singular artist. Guess who?
Taylor Swift.
Yep. Taylor. She's my most listened to artist. And it's funny because I was only in the top 3%. I have friends in the top like 0.5% of her listeners. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of
I'm not even like a top listener. It's crazy.
Yeah. Some people were sharing their minutes of like, someone would share their thing and just like, I'm in the top, 0.2% of listening to Kendrick Lamar this year. And then someone would have one would be like, well, I'm in the top 0.02%.
Yeah.
It's just like, okay.
Like, whoa.
Battle it out.
Where's your 9 to 5 at?
Right.
Like, what's going on?
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah. No, I swear they know more about me than I do.
Mm-hmm.
Because my personality was the early adopter.
Yes.
Which I found so interesting because I always say, like, I don't know music. Like, I'm not a music person.
Mm-hmm.
But apparently I adopt different artists very early on, which is like, very interesting.
Yes, that was mine too. The early adopter, and it was like exploration, newness, variety, commonality. Yeah. And I was thinking the same because like I try every now and then to listen to the New Music Friday, and I maybe like one song off of it. I'm not a huge fan all the time. It kind of takes a while for me to like really like a song. So I did not think that was going to be me. But then when they kind of explained it, I was like, oh, I guess, yeah. Like I like smaller artists, and I don't know. Interesting.
Oh, I'm switching to Spotify.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So are you? Yeah.
I'm done.
So are you ready to make
Apple,
the jump?
You lost me. Well, if you guys don't know, well, I'm sure you know, it's all over TV. The World Cup has begun, started, and it's on its way to its ending. There are 2 teams right now competing hard for the World Cup.
Aren't there 8 teams left?
Yeah, but these 2 teams aren't actually on the field. These are 2 brands, 2 big brands that we know, Nike and Adidas.
Yeah. Yes.
Nike and Adidas have been competing in World Cup for I don't know how long. Adidas has had a lead on Nike as far as anything that has to do with overseas soccer for a long time. Mm-hmm. But Nike is the king this year. So, as you know, there are 32 teams in the World Cup. Okay, Nike represents 13 of the teams. Adidas comes in second with 7, Puma in 6, and other brands like New Balance, the rest of them have 1 for the remainers.
Wow.
So, what's transpired even more, right? There's only 8 teams left, like you said, Megan. Mm-hmm. 8 teams. Out of those 8 teams, 6 of them are represented by one country. I'm sorry, 6 of them are represented by one brand. What brand is that?
Nike.
Yeah. So they have 6 out of the 8 teams left, with Adidas only having 1 team left.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So going and do more research, obviously I'm looking at the United States jersey and I see a Nike jersey. Mm-hmm. Right? And I think as a brand, if you were Nike and you were Adidas, would you want your team to win the World Cup?
100%.
Mm-hmm.
Right. You want your team to win the World Cup?
Oh, yeah.
So Adidas does not root for the United States.
Yeah, that's valid.
Yeah.
I never knew that. So they don't root for the United States.
But do you think they would have had the U.S.? Do you think that was like the U.S. choice?
Yeah, in a sense, okay. Yeah. I feel like, I mean, all the Olympic teams are sponsored by Nike. So I think they have no choice, but it's just a weird concept that Adidas, just think about it, like they don't root for the United States during
they
the
don't
World
want the
Cup.
U.S. to win, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
So now just diving deeper into this this battle here with the brands, you start to see like they have 2 different approaches to like the World Cup. Mm-hmm. I feel like Adidas is more tries to stay more traditional, where Nike tries to break the box, especially worldwide. We're so used to in the United States as far as like women's rights. We have a lot of cultures within the United States, so we're so used to everybody stepping outside the box. This is a new thing. It's all these brands are doing that, and we're right, but that's not the same for every other country. Mm-hmm. So looking at the 2 commercials that each brand put out right before the World Cup, what do you guys think?
Yeah. Well, so I conducted a little study on myself, watching the clips from the game and then seeing like what I noticed about the jerseys. Because one of the things you had asked before was, do you even notice the brand? Like, obviously, you know, how important is the actual brand? So it's a case study of one, me. I watched like some of the game and asked myself, what do I notice? And it went in this order: color, name brand, and then country. Like, I don't even know what country if I didn't look at the score, I don't even know what countries are playing. Yeah. I noticed the color, the name brand, so Nike or Adidas on the jersey, and then the country. So kind of funny. And I think it's because brand logos are more familiar to us than maybe the country logos. So I don't even know what, Germany's emblem looks like, but I do know what the Nike swoosh looks like. Mm-hmm. So I think there's a little bit of like a familiar like my brain goes to the familiar first. The logos are front and center. They're right on one of the sides of the chest. And often these days, the jerseys on the field now reflect kind of the apparel hanging in the pro shop. So obviously, players wear the jerseys in prime time under the bright lights, and then we as consumers can go and buy that jersey.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's super important for brands, and I'm glad that they got involved. I think Nike's done a great job. I don't know if they picked the teams or if the teams picked them, but needless to say, it's a very important study.
Yeah, for sure. And me personally, I can guarantee I don't notice any brands when I'm watching any kind of sport game. See?
Athletics.
Sports.
Go sports.
Go sports.
But I was kind of curious how many people actually do. So I found a Nielsen study that looked at 100 different sponsorships between 2020 and 2021. And they did this across 7 markets and 20 industries. And they actually found that sponsorships drove an average 10% lift in purchase intent among those who were exposed. So it actually is shown that it does lift your intent to purchase.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
It makes sense. If I'm Adidas, I am praying. I'm not sure what team is left that they represent, but I am praying that team at least makes it to the next round.
Yeah.
Because in all Nike championship looks like what we're headed to. In one of the, I'd say every year we come to Olympics, something is going to be the most watched. You know, and we're entering that phase. So, you know, a double Nike championship looks like numbers wise it's on the way.
Right. It's even funny you say I hope they make it to the next round. I hope they put up a fight. You know what I mean? Like as long as it's a close game. And back to your study, I found another study that supports what you're saying, but they found that consumers who watch a close game will have a more positive sponsor attitude and higher purchase intention than those who watch a very one-sided game.
Interesting.
Yeah. So it's super, I don't know if we are more zoned in so we notice the brands more, or even the sponsors, because I know that's a whole nother topic, not even just the brand, but Motorola sponsoring the Bucks, like that kind of thing. But yeah, close games matter. And I think that's interesting. So in terms of the 2 ads, what you were saying, the Nike one and the Adidas one, I think what stuck out to me the most, the difference obviously between the two, obviously ad length, the Nike one was a lot longer. I think they had shortened versions that they played, but it was a pretty long ad. But I felt that there weren't, interestingly enough, in Nike's ad, there weren't a ton of blatant nods to Nike items. So it was more about the story and less about the Nike brand. And I don't know if that was intentional. Adidas had a ton more clearer call outs. So between the travelers' bags, they put their bag in the bus and it was Adidas bag. It just felt like there was a lot more branded items and call outs. And Nike's was more about the story and the players and their names rather than the brand.
Do you think that has something to do with one being the more recognizable brand right now?
Potentially. And I also think just the volume of sponsorships. I think they had players from so many, because obviously you said 13 teams they're sponsored. They had players from all different teams, whereas Adidas kind of had to focus a little more on their brand and less about the variety of teams that they're sponsoring. So I do think, Nike is so iconic. You say Nike in the first, I don't know, 10 seconds and okay, that's what this ad's about.
Yeah, I feel like it gave them a little bit more wiggle room to actually tell a different story than just hey, we're Nike.
Yeah.
Here's what we do.
Yep.
And I really appreciated the different nods. I felt like there was nods and ties back to Stranger Things a little bit.
Yes.
In that.
Yeah.
Do you catch that?
Yeah,
Yes.
I thought so too.
Yeah.
I thought so too. Another thing I will say, the United States cheated. They had everybody in there. They had, women's soccer isn't going on right now, and they had a women's soccer player in there. Just okay.
I thought about that. I was all of a sudden, I was whoa.
Yeah.
And then I was am I missing something? And I was oh no, they're just
they're
supporting I love it.
Animated characters.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were just showing off where, if you can almost compare that Adidas commercial to something that Gucci or Louis Vuitton would do.
It felt, it was so much more branded. And Adidas is weird to me because I feel they're, I don't know. I was thinking while I watched it, they have higher end items, but they also have really low budget items.
Yeah.
You ever I don't know. I they have such a extensive like line of items.
Mm.
And I don't know. I think they need to, and maybe Nike's the same. They have really expensive, they have really cheap. It's all over the place. But I think Adidas needs to like maybe focus in a little more. Maybe like realign.
I like that. I really like that.
8 teams is great. I don't mean to discount what Adidas is doing. Like sponsoring 8 teams is amazing.
Yeah.
Nike just kind of blew it out of the water with 13. So
Yeah, straight out of the water.
yeah.
Go sports.
Go sports.
Go sports.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll see you next week.
See ya.
Toodles.